Hello, my name is Kim and thank you for joining me to watch today's video. Today I am going to be doing a 9-month destash or stash down update. I just thought that I would join you very quickly before I set up the tripod and do it more professionally, just for a little check-in and just to say I am slightly sad because I'm filming this in October, but this is for obviously the first 9 months of the year. So I've got this bag of yarn that has leftovers in it from my wedding flowers. So there's less that I started with, obviously, but it's still a lot that I'm going to have to add to my stash, and it's not going to look good for my numbers, I don't think. So yeah. I'm going to bite the bullet and put it on, and then I can join you for a chat and a catch up. So this is Editing Kim, just rewatching this video. You will notice in a minute that I have the pen lid in my mouth. I did think while I was filming that it wouldn't be too obvious. You will see, especially sped up, it looks very strange. I was actually debating whether to take this clip out, but I thought it would be funny and I like a little sort of compilation. So as you can see, I am just going through all of the yarn. At the moment I'm measuring it all so that I can put it accurately on Notion, where I track all of my yarn. I'm going through skein by skein, or sort of colour by colour. So as I go through all of the yarn, I am just weighing it. So you can see the little scales there. I have got lots of different colours as well. So these, as I said, were all used for my bouquet for my wedding. So I have got white, light purple, dark purple, mixed purple, dark green, mixed green, light green, blues. You name it, I've got a lot, yellow and orange, although I didn't use either of those. In this clip I am listening to some music. You will see every now and then I sort of bob my head a bit. That's because I am watching a concert. I wish that I was there. And in this clip I am logging all of the yarn to Notion. So I am writing descriptions of each of the yarn, where I got them from, the name of the yarn, the colourway, and I'm also taking pictures so that I can add the photographs as well. So I do have a Mac and an iPhone, so I could send all of the pictures to my computer, but I find the quickest way to do it personally is to take pictures on my phone and upload them from my phone. So I have the Notion app on my phone. Once I've put all of the information in so that I can use my keyboard to do it, I then use my phone to upload all the pictures to the right yarn that I've just put on. So yeah. So now I've finished taking all of the photos on my phone. I'm still listening to concerts, so you might still see the bobbleheads, but I am just showing you quickly that I am linking all of the photos to the listings. So I'm doing them slowly but surely, so making sure that they all match up on the computer and on my phone. It's really handy having the Notion app because it means that when I'm on the go, I can see what yarn I have, how much I have. You know, if I'm looking at completing a project, I can see whether I need to buy anything else, or try and stop myself from buying any more yarn if I've got a lot of that colour already. So yes, this whole process of putting everything on Notion did take me quite a while, probably around half an hour or so. Hello, I have just finished putting all of the yarn that I've got left over from my wedding crocheting adventures onto Notion. So I've got the final numbers for the last 3 months. So when I say, just taking it back a step. So when I say the last 3 months, I mean July, August, September. I'm recording this in October, so I'm confusing myself ever so slightly. So October, November and December updates will obviously be at the end of December. I'm just doing an update for the first 9 months of the year. I think it's probably clearer to you guys than it is to me at the moment. Yeah. So I have got my laptop here. I will be referring to it a bit. I'm thinking that this video probably won't be too long, just because I haven't got too much to update, apart from the fact that I'm really sad that I had to add all of the yarn left over. I did mention it in a different video, so I crocheted all of the flowers for my recent wedding, and I did actually work out how much yarn I would need for all the flowers to hopefully not have too much left over. I don't know what the heck was wrong with my maths, but clearly it's not my forte, because I've got quite a lot of yarn left over. Nearly, well, 990 grams, so nearly a kilogram. So I don't know what I did wrong with my maths, but it went majorly wrong somewhere. But ramble over. Anyway, so at the end of the last quarter, so my 6-month update, I had set myself 5 goals. If you missed that video or you missed any of the other ones, they are on my channel. If you search Stash Down, I think, or I'll try and put them in a playlist or something. They should be fairly easy to find. Anyway, so just to go through how much yarn I used in the last 3 months. So in the first 6 months, I was averaging about 785 grams being used per month. These last 3 months, I've used a lot less than that per month. So in July, I finished 1 project and I used 148 grams. In August, I finished 3 projects and I used 354 grams of yarn. And in September, crazy, I know, I finished 9 projects and I used 269 grams of yarn. So in total so far for this year, I have used up 5,501 grams of yarn, which over the 9 months averages 611 just over grams being used per month. Now obviously there's some months where I have used a lot more than that, and most of the months I've used a lot less than that. So as I said, I have so far used 5,501 grams of yarn. So still in my stash, it has increased. I've got 12,551 grams of yarn left, which is 255 skeins. Again, just to recap as to how I organise that, each ball I have, whether it's 1 gram or whether it's sort of a big cone of yarn, if there's one of them, I have counted it as one skein, if that makes sense. So I've got 255 separate balls / cones / skeins. My most bought weight of yarn is DK, and therefore my most used yarn at the moment is DK. My most used colour was natural / white, and I think it's pretty similar now as well. Cotton was most of what I've got. Now I think it is acrylic of what I've used in the last 6 months. The average in grams of yarn that I've got is 78.44, which again shows us that most of the yarn I have is less than 100 grams, so it's not necessarily a whole ball. So I've got lots of little scraps I'm trying to get through, and perhaps 50-gram balls as well. And I've got 160 separate entries. So for example, the yarn that I just put on, there will be 1 entry per colour. So I'll have 1 entry for dark blue, 1 entry for light blue, 1 for purple, and I'll have 3 skeins of that. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. It would make a lot more sense if you used Notion, which is what I use to track my yarn, but hopefully it kind of makes sense. It's kind of per picture, I guess. In the last 9 months, I have used 85 separate entries. So 85, the entries I had for yarn are gone, which is great. The average entries that I've used per month is 9.44, so 9.5, near enough, which is quite a lot. I'd guess that because it's 9.5, it's quite high. It usually means that I am using a lot of kind of scrappy yarn. Scrap yarn. Because it's 9.5, I would assume that it's using lots of small amounts of yarn, because obviously then I would be able to use more entries per month. So I don't remember whether I did this last time, whether I went through the projects that I made, but I can quickly run through those if you would find it interesting. Rhetorical question, I know. So very, very quickly. So I don't know whether I will show pictures of all the projects I've made, just because I've gone over them in quite a lot of detail in my last podcast, which was podcast 16, which was released at the start of November. So this might be the next video, or it might be the video afterwards. I'm not sure yet. I think it'll be the video afterwards. Just to go over them very briefly. So the first project that I made in July was a lion lovey blanket. In August I finished some tulips for the wedding. I have only counted it as one project, though I made about 10 or more than 10. So I might actually see if I can change that somehow. I made 2 rose wristlets for my mothers for the wedding, one for my mother and one for my mother-in-law. I made 3 lilies for my wedding. I made a donkey lovey for a friend's baby. And I made quite a few rose buds as well. Again, I've only counted that as one finished object, but I can probably count it as more because there's more than one product. I don't know if you'd count that as more than one. I guess it does. And then I made quite a few leaves for the bouquets as well. In September, I made 2 cactuses. I made my mum made, some hydrangeas for the wedding. More leaves. I made a rickaroomi snail and a Toft mushroom kit. I finished my Joe's Cozy Toes socks. I made a present or a Christmas advent calendar, and I finished a Toft hat as well. So those are all of my finished projects. So I have finished 28 projects so far this year. So I'm really happy about that. That is more than I thought that I would. And again, that's not including the individual flowers I made. This is just, that's just a count of the different projects that I did, if that makes sense. So for the planned projects, I still have 21 planned projects in sort of my queue, and I only have one work in progress at the moment, which I will be sharing in my next podcast. And the current time estimated to work through all of the yarn in my stash is sitting at the moment at 20.5 months. So over a year, nearly 2 years, if I don't buy anything else, which probably won't happen, that's not a lie. Right, so going on to the plans that I made last video for what I wanted to achieve in the next 3 months. So the first plan I had was to finish 20 entries of yarn. Now I did that by quite a long shot, so I actually finished 30 entries of yarn, which, woohoo, that's really good. Obviously a lot better than I thought, so that's definitely been achieved. The other one that I achieved was to finish all of my whips and a clothing item. So I finished all of the works in progress in my queue, and I finished the socks as well. So for about a day or so, I had no works in progress in my, like, being worked on at all, which was amazing. It felt so good. And then I started a new one, finished it, then I've started a new one now. So I've got a work in progress, but I achieved all of that, so that's amazing. And then it was to have 20 planned projects and increase my works in progress. So as I said, I've got 21 projects in my planned projects at the moment. And increasing my whips, I haven't increased my whips, so to say. I'm trying to stay monogamous, so working on one work in progress at a time. And the current project I'm working on is a big one, so I need to dedicate quite a lot of time to it. It is also a present for Christmas, so although it's still October at the moment, I want to get a move on so that I feel better. So I've put that as an amber because I haven't technically achieved it, but I'm really, really close to it. Considering in my 6-month update, I had 30 works in progress, planned projects, sorry. So I've narrowed it, I've reduced it by 9, which is really good. So yeah, the 2 that I didn't achieve. So one was to have 220 skeins in my stash. I currently have 255. So the 35 that is increased by, a lot of that is the cotton that I used for the wedding, which I do have plans for, to be honest. And some of that was from a yarn swap that I went to recently as well. So that has not been achieved. Not quite. And the other one that I didn't achieve was to use 1,800 grams of yarn within 3 months. So 600 grams per month. So that was not achieved. I averaged around 200 grams per month, which is less than half of what I needed to. In my defense though, I know that I was very busy with crocheting flowers, but in my defense, it was a very busy 3 months, And I think at the time of recording the last video, I hadn't actually decided that I was going to be crocheting the flowers. We knew that the wedding was coming up. I don't think I'd taken into account all of the DIY stuff that I was doing for the wedding as well, which obviously took up a lot of time. And I feel like if you do it right and if everything goes right, weddings only happen once. And I think that that's perfectly okay to fall behind on some of my plans because I had a big life event. It happens. Am I overly disappointed? Not really. I had a great time, and it just means that I need to try a little bit harder or keep on top of my plans more so in the next 3 months. So speaking of which, for the next 3 months, so by the end of December, I've got 4 goals that I had set. So this is originally what I had set, is to get my entries under 100, to have 10,000 grams in stash, no more, to have under 200 skeins in stash, and to have halved my planned projects to 15. Looking through these now and sort of reflecting on where I currently am, where I expected myself to be and where I currently am, I'm going to adjust the goals ever so slightly. So get my entries under 100. So at the moment my entries are on 160. There's no way that I'll be able to finish 60 entries in the next 3 months. I would have to work super hard. So I'm going to change that to get my entries under 130. So in the last 3 months I did finish 30 entries, so I feel like that's achievable. Again, I need to work with more scrap yarn so that I can sort of clear a lot of my entries, because once sort of the random ball of red acrylic is gone, that's one entry that can go, and I've got a few projects that can sort of make that happen quicker. The next one is to only have 10,000 grams in stash. That would involve me using 2.5 kilograms of yarn, which is not going to happen. So maybe I'll definitely have to change that. And to have under 200 skeins of yarn in my stash, at the moment it is 255, which again, I'm not going to get through 55 skeins in the next 3 months, so I will adjust that as well. Half planned projects to 15, I feel like that is achievable. At the moment I'm sitting on 21. I can definitely get through quite a lot of those in the next 3 months. I feel as though I can get through, well, I'd need to get through 6 to get through. So let me just look at what I've got and I'll see how achievable I think that is. So excuse the slightly different angle, and I'm sorry if I'm a bit shaky. I'm holding the camera just because I'm close to the end of the video and I've just had to replace the battery and I'm lazy. So rather than screwing the camera back onto the tripod, I'm just going to hold you for a minute. Hopefully you're not too heavy. So as I was going through my plans for the next 3 months, so I've just covered what they would have been if I had stayed on course as I'd expected. Obviously I didn't. I added yarn to the collection, so my goals have changed. So I've just changed them to something more achievable. So getting my entries to under 130 rather than 100. So that's 30 entries that I need to finish. So averaging around 10 entries per month. The next one, the original goal was to have less than 10,000 grams in stash. That's not going to happen, so I've changed it to 11,500. So that would involve me using 1,000 grams or a kilogram of yarn in the next 3 months, which again, I feel like that's fairly achievable. That's 333 grams, a little bit more, per month, which is achievable. I think in my lowest months, I've used sort of 150 grams, but it's coming up to Christmas. I'm going to be making quite a lot of Christmas presents. So that should sort of kickstart my using stash. I am probably going to be doing a video every day in December as well, Vlogmas, just because I really enjoyed it last year and it will be a good excuse to use up some more yarn. So I am hoping that one of my videos will be sort of using scrap yarn up for different projects, and particularly to use it to gift things to people as well. Hopefully that makes sense. The next goal that I have is to have under 235 skeins in my stash. So that is to use 20 skeins of yarn. So this doesn't include stuff that wasn't originally in my stash. This would be sort of using stuff that's in my stash, which again could include things like scraps, little balls of yarn, different things like that. I think that's probably the way to go to start off with, is to start with some scrap busting projects, and then I can sort of deal with the bigger projects that use more of the yarn. So the next goal is to halve my planned projects to 15. So 3 months ago I had 30 planned projects. It's now down to 21 planned projects. I think it's perfectly achievable to take that down to 15 in the next 3 months. So I need to finish 6 of the projects that are currently in my queue, which they will probably be smaller projects, but again, I can definitely get that started. I don't know about you, but over Christmas and the sort of more autumn times, the colder times, I love to snuggle under a blanket, put a film on and get a project out and just sort of bash it out. That's one of my perfect evenings, so I can see myself doing a lot of that in sort of the next 3 months. And the last one that I did add to my journal a little while ago was to finish 40 projects in total. So far I have finished, I finished 31 projects. If I finish 31? Yeah. So to finish 40, I only need to finish 9 projects. Again, these might be relatively small projects, but they're projects that I want to finish nonetheless. So I have got a few ideas at the moment of exactly what I want to do. Sort of scrap busting projects that I can sink my teeth into and just sort of get them done. They might be relatively small, but I think they'll be great nonetheless. And I think that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this was interesting to you. I know some people like hearing all of the nitty-gritty grams, finished projects, things like that. Some people aren't too keen on the numbers. Throughout the video I will have put sort of part of my like tracker so that you can see what I'm talking about, hopefully. If you found this interesting, please like or subscribe or drop a comment below. And if there's anything else that you wanted to know about it, drop a comment below. As I said, at the moment I'm feeling good, I'm feeling very positive. I'm feeling a little bit let down that I added so much yarn to my stash from my wedding, but as I said, it's a one-off event. It wasn't planned that I would add so much to my stash. It is what it is, and I can still work through it. It's really good yarn. It's hobby cotton friends. So it's very versatile. I can use it for a lot of different things, and I have already got some ideas of what I can use it on. But yeah, anyway, ramble over. I will see you shortly for podcast 17, which will be out at the end of November. And at the end of December, I will do an update for all of the yarn, the projects I finished, everything like that, how the whole year went for stashing down. And yeah, that will be at the end of December. I can't wait to make the video and share it with you. Until next time, thank you so much. As I said, if you enjoyed this video, leave me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe, and until next time, take care. Hope you're getting on well too. All the best. Bye. Just as a little addition, I thought I would just show you my stash at the moment. So I'm not going to get everything out. I'm sorry if that's what you're waiting for. But this is kind of what it's looking like at the moment. So the structure is pretty much the same as it was before. These yarns are separated by fibre. So this is sock yarn, so the typical 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon mixes. Most of those are hand dyed. We've got some wool that's just randomly there. This is more wool, I believe. Or maybe it's random yarn. This is acrylic. Cotton is just there. So it's all labelled up, for example, like this, in plastic bags so that the moths can't get them, and there's no other creepy crawlies. So we have silverfish in our flat. I hate them. They make me really squeamish. I know that they get everywhere, so I'm just covering my yarn. So hopefully I won't pick something up and get scared is probably the nicest way of putting it. Just because I don't know how old people are that watch this. I don't know if you've got any little ones in the background. This box is full of lots of doubles. So for the Fildar Rio, I've got about 2 or 3 of them. I've got this blue Will and the Gang yarn. I've got like 10 balls, 15 maybe. I have got a project in mind for that, but it's not in motion yet. Up here, up the top, is all of my planned projects, mainly. So this is yarn that I haven't got a lot of, or little skeins, so some of that will be coming out. This is for a project that I frogged. It's for a sweater. I've got this that I will be making soon. Sweater weight quantities of yarn. This is all of the cotton that I just put away in the red bag at the back. That is full of my sock yarn that I finished using. That is going to go in a scrappy project. The sock yarn in the middle, the hand dyed yarn, those are all main bases and mini skeins. They are all sort of matched together so that I can make some projects with those. Socks, but I need to get around to it. This project hasn't been started yet. I'm a groomie. And then there's just some more things down the back. These are a lot of my project books and just random books. And these are all of my project bags that I've set to the side. So it is fairly organised. Yeah, so hopefully I'll have to, at the end of the year, I think I'll have to do a comparison of what my cupboard looked like at the start of the year and what it looks like now. I think that'll be quite interesting. But this is what it looks like 9 months in, so you might not see much of a difference. I guess the main difference is up at the top, there's just some more room, but yeah. The bottom looks quite unorganised at the moment, but that will change. In the next 3 months it will change. But yeah.